Yeah.
In this tape, we deal with a scenario involving an armed assailant with a handgun. The assailant is posing an imminent threat to the life of the defender. It's important to note that this is a very high level of danger. Cooperation with the assailant, if that will save you, that's what we recommend doing. But it's a well-accepted fact that victims of violent crime often cooperate with their assailant. Give up the watch, give up the wallet, give up information. And they're still assaulted, they're still shot, they're still killed. We want to be able to give you the tools to succeed, to survive the violent encounter. But that does not ignore the opportunity we may have to cooperate and flee the scene without any conflict. If you feel your life is in danger, or the life of a friend or a family member, you should have the knowledge that we're going to give you in these tapes to survive the encounter. Now, as in all areas of Krav Maga, we always look at what the danger is for a particular self-defense exercise. We analyze what is the danger, how do we remove it, how do we deal with the attacker, how do we end the conflict and leave when it's safe to do so, and when it's appropriate to do so. It's no different with a firearm. What's the danger with a firearm? Being in the line of fire at the time the weapon is discharged. It is important to note, though, that distances are crucial. At a great distance, your option may only be to seek cover if someone is trying to fire at you. At a close distance, and how do I define close? At a range within your reach or just immediately beyond your reach. We can function with defensive techniques to eliminate the threat, to control the weapon, and to disarm the assailant. The exercises that we're going to perform for you deal with threats that are issued from the front, from at a diagonal angle, from the side in front of the arm, at the side behind the arm, and to the rear of the defender. These exercises are our basic exercises for handgun defense. Other tapes will deal with more varying scenarios. It's also important that we comment here on the stress level in the exercises. It's very, very, very crucial that your training regimen includes stressful scenarios so that you will be familiar with how to function under stress in a real-life situation. And of course, any training scenario involving defending against an assailant armed with a handgun must include scenarios that are stressful. Slapping, punching, pushing, screaming, yelling. Things that would simulate like a takeover robbery or some type of very, very hostile, aggressive action against the defender. What is our approach? Our approach is 4 steps in any gun defense. Number 1, we must redirect the line of fire. In other words, we must make a defense. How is that defense made? Well, it's made, first of all, by moving either the gun or the hand holding the gun. In addition, when we redirect the line of fire, we want to combine moving the target with actually moving the weapon. So those two things, a body defense and a hand defense, generally combine to make or create an overall earlier and more complete defense. Secondly, it is very important that we don't just redirect the line of fire and move the target, because that means maybe we only missed the first shot. We're concerned with danger in all its potential. If it's a semi-automatic weapon, the weapon itself may be armed with 4, 5, 10, or 11 more shots. So we must control the weapon so that the line of fire never comes back on us. 1, redirect the line of fire, including a body defense. 2, control the weapon so that the line of fire can never return on us. 3, we must realize that the gunman who has the weapon in his hand, who feels all the power in the world is in their hands. Once you have defended, they will be fighting for their lives too. So stage number 3 is to attack the gunman with determination, very aggressively. We are fighting for our lives, and we must not forget that. Stage 1, redirect. Stage 2, control the weapon. Stage 3, to attack the gunman. And the final stage, if it's necessary, is to disarm the gunman. So in any exercise, we have 4 principles that are operating: the defensive principle, the control principle, the counterattack principle, and the disarming principle. That does not mean, however, that all of our exercises have 4 separate stages, separated by time. In fact, most of our exercises are performed in fewer than 4 stages, and the way the 4 principles are covered is that they are occurring simultaneous to one another in the exercise. When you analyze gun defenses, it's key in understanding the exercises to understand the difference between a detectable movement and a movement that is very hard to detect. One of the things that we're attempting to do in all of our gun defenses, and the thing that we accomplish, is that we're training people to react in the least detectable movement. The defense is made in the shortest possible line. And when the gun is removed from the target area, it is also removed in the shortest line off the body. People would sometimes analyze a gun defense or a moving of the hand, measuring the defensive movement against merely pulling the trigger. That analysis is flawed. That analysis would mean that any defense would not be effective against this type of scenario. And the truth is, defenses can be made against a live handgun. Why? If the defensive movement can be so long and all the assailant has to do is pull a trigger, how possibly can gun defenses work? Because there is a lag time, a space in time, separating the initial movement of the defender and the recognition and identification of that movement by the assailant. The gun defense should be complete by the time it registers in the brain and the brain analyzes, the assailant's brain analyzes that there's been an aggressive defensive move made to thwart the attack. Now, what is very, very important to remember is that all of our movements, again, must be made as small as possible, as inconspicuous as possible, without winding up, without stepping, without leaning, without telegraphing the defensive movement.